You're listening to episode 29 of Post Production Podcast. Hello and welcome, all you amazing people out there, to the Post Production Podcast. Thank you for joining us as we talk about the latest in movies and TV. Today, I am your main host. I'm Mr. Adam for today.
Hello, Mr. Adam.
Hello. Welcome, Drew.
I'm just regular
You're
Drew
just
today.
Drew.
I'm just Drew.
So we're here to talk about Infinity War.
Yes.
Finally, it's out. We have seen it, so we are going to jump right into it. Now, did you want to do a little bit of a non-spoiler thing first?
Non-spoiler, it was a great movie.
Yeah.
It's a great
non-spoiler
movie.
review. Go see it.
Yeah.
Because
you can't say anything
you can't
else.
say anything. But it's a proper superhero movie. It's on a scale that we've never seen before. If you're a fan of these Marvel movies, I don't think this will disappoint you.
Yeah,
I think it'll be really great.
Either.
I think it's a really,
and we
really
talked,
great movie.
We talked a bit, our previous episode, we kind of did a ramp up to Infinity War, and, I had voiced my concern on whether or not there was going to be a proper plot, if it was just going to be a smash fest, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
And it's a great movie. It's got a great story.
Mm-hmm.
The action's on par, and yeah, go see it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right.
Let's get down to the brass tacks here.
Yeah, there we go. So,
spoilers!
That was so quick. All right, so going into spoilers, what were some of your favorite parts?
I mean, I got to give it down. I mean, Thanos was, for me, I thought Thanos was fantastic. And I will ramp him all the way up to best villain ever.
I think so. We had enough time with him to understand him properly.
Yeah, I like the way that they wove the story with his background and kind of his motivation, and you don't really walk away going, I don't know what this guy's doing.
Yeah, Josh Brolin killed it, I think. So yeah, I would say Thanos is the best MCU villain. I think for a mocap character, he looked great. I
had some issues with some of the mocap on him.
Yeah,
it was really out of sync and maybe it was just a sound issue or a sync issue because it really was out of sync a lot of times with the lips. It looked like I was watching something that was like dubbed from Japanese in a couple of instances, and I actually got pissed in the opening scene with him grabbing Thor off the ground. And it looked completely messed up. It was so botchy.
Yeah, I could see that.
I was like, oh God, please don't tell me the rest of this movie is going to be so just half-assed.
I remember seeing that, and initially I was like, the way he is walking, and then with Thor, like, it's a fully CGI character, and then you have Thor. Like, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because I caught that too. I was like, that looks a little weird. I'm gonna forgive it, but.
Yeah,
I did give it a little bit of thought. Yeah. I was like, yeah.
Because as it went forward, I was like,
yeah.
And then, like, it immediately went into the Hulk fight scene, which was like,
right.
Holy balls!
It was great. And to see that, and then Thanos, I love that line that, one of the Black Order guys were about to step in, and then Ebony Maw, yeah, he was like, yeah, no.
Let him have his fun.
Let him have his fun.
That
was great. It was like, oh, shit. And I thought that was a cool scene to see him and the Hulk, and then he just gets smashed into the ground.
Yeah. And
you're like, okay, Thanos.
That was one of the best scenes for me.
Oh, really?
Because here's the thing, right? Thanos is incredibly powerful by himself. Yeah. He doesn't need the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
And by himself, there's not a single Avenger that can stand up to him whether he has the Infinity Gauntlet or not. So that, for me, was a correct interpretation of Thanos. It's like, yeah, man, he's going to whoop the shit out of Hulk, And a straight up, like, little up-and-up fight, where Hulk doesn't have a lot of time to bounce around and smash and whatever.
It's interesting because, he only had the Power Stone at that time. So I mean, he wasn't that elevated.
Yeah.
So he's already a strong being, and you definitely got to see that. And I think we had both talked about how that scene was gonna play out, and I loved how Thor like definitely did not know at all. He was like, yeah, no, the Tesseract was destroyed on Asgard. Loki's like, yeah, no,
Yeah, no,
I
I
have
got
it.
it.
I think that scene was emotional for me because it's Loki, and we just spent all this time with Loki and Thor Ragnarok, and as soon as he just cracks his neck, like, and yeah, and I like the line that Thanos throws out where he's like, yeah, no resurrections this time, because Loki is known for that,
Yeah.
and even Thor acknowledges that. He's like, yeah, he's been dead before, but I think this might be the one. But I think that was a great scene. Heimdall, unfortunately, ate it, but I think we predicted that too.
Yeah. There's still a little bit of a disconnect. We don't know what happened to Cork. We don't know what happened to Valkyrie.
Well, they said half of the ship did survive, but I don't know. And then, of course, Heimdall is important because he, at the last second, gets Hulk to Earth. Because we were all wondering how that was going to happen.
Yeah.
We thought Thanos was going to punch him so hard that he went to Earth, but this makes more sense.
I thought it was kind of, I mean, I get how it played out and it's fine, but it's kind of a little questioning why he would send the Hulk and not Thor. Like, Thor is his king. Like, yeah, I'm going to send the green guy who I don't care one bit about.
Well, I think...
But I'm going to let my king sit here in front of Thanos, who could kill him at any moment.
Well, I think that...
I was like, yeah, that doesn't make any realistic sense. It works for the movie.
Well, I think Heimdall has a greater sense of things. I think he knows that Hulk can't do anything right now. Like, he's already beat. Let's send him to Earth because that's where he's from. Let him tell everyone that he's coming. Thor, worst case scenario, he'll be floating in space, but he will not die. I don't know. I was able to be okay with that.
I thought it was interesting how the way the movie played out, it kept Tony Stark and Steve Rogers apart.
Yes.
It kind of separated out. And I love the line from Banner where he's like, dude, the world's ending.
Like, it doesn't matter.
Like, everyone's in jeopardy. It doesn't matter if you have a little problem or who you are or are not talking to. Make the call, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And some people were like, and this was already known, but some people I saw online were like, why does Tony Stark have a flip phone? But of course, seeing Civil War, and I already knew this, but like, yeah, at the end of Civil War, Steve Rogers gives him that phone.
He gives him that flip phone.
With just his phone number. And I like that Tony Stark was carrying it with him, because he knows that, at some time he should call him. So, but he's just putting it off. Like, I mean, we all do that. We all don't want to call people back. And yeah, immediately, like right after Hulk comes, like the Black Order shows up. And I thought it was a great fight scene.
I thought Ebony Maw, I mean, it was, I don't know if he's dead or not. I mean, we saw him get, pushed out into space and start frosting over. I hope he's not dead.
He's great.
A fantastic character.
Yeah.
The big guy was cool. I didn't like the crap CGI on, I don't know what her name is.
On the girl, yeah.
On the girl.
But yeah, I mean, if there was one complaint, it was that. I was getting shades of like, not Darkseid. What's his name? From Justice League.
Oh, wow. Because he's such a forgettable character.
I don't even know his name. But that CGI, it's so bad, Yeah, and unfortunately, I expected a little bit more. And then also the goblin-looking dude. He was actually pretty bad, too, the CGI.
But, I mean,
face.
but...
You can't do that.
He's a goblin dude. But, I mean, like, she had a face. She had a regular face with just, like, some horn things on it. So it's like, how is that not a prosthetic in her regular face?
It could have been, yeah, it definitely could have been.
I was like, wow, that was just bad. But, whatever. That's just nitpicking.
But, I mean, as these people that they have to fight, I think they were pretty good. I liked Wong. He was pretty good in that scene.
I'm glad Wong didn't die.
Yeah. Because he was on your list.
No, he was on yours. No, you predicted him to go down.
Oh, you said he was good.
Nope. I do not have a dead next to Wong.
Ah, no dead
you
Wong.
thought Wong was gonna bite it, but nope.
Yeah,
Nope. I was
okay.
like, nah, Wong's good.
No, yeah, I think
One of the Benedicts had to survive.
That's true. No, but I thought he was really good, and I like that he was like, yeah, the sanctum is unguarded now, so now I have to go. And then that was a good use of the character.
It's a good piece out for him.
One thing I really take from this movie is like they don't spend a whole lot of time they don't have to over explain anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have to think about this is a sequel to all of those movies. So whether that's Civil War, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Thor: Ragnarok, like all of these movies, Black Panther, like it has to be a sequel to all of those, and I think it did that pretty well of balancing. Not everyone had a huge character moment.
They didn't need it.
But they didn't need it. This was about the war too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were 3 relationships in this movie that were critical, and they spent time developing those relationships because those relationships led up to other things.
Yeah.
Starting with Vision and Scarlet Witch, even though for some reason she lost her accent in this movie.
Yeah, that was something that I
everyone's
noticed.
going, what the hell?
I was really?
But,
like...
it's fine. She's learning to live with whatever.
I guess. Yeah.
But I like how they gave us just enough of, a relationship building kind of history with them to make the last scene impactful.
Yeah, and it was impactful.
And it really concentrated a lot of emotions going through the whole movie and dealing with a lot of characters in a kind of that one scene.
And it's funny because the last time we see them, it's in like Civil War, and they don't say explicitly that they are together. They just kind of assume they're kind of feeling each other.
You get those early budding things, but it wouldn't have been enough to make an emotional connection like it actually did.
Exactly.
In the
so
movie.
That was important for them. Another relationship. I think
the second one is just like in the second Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, Quinn and
Quill.
Quill and Gamora are they're flirting back and forth, but they haven't hooked up yet.
I think they have.
So
but that's off camera.
But you don't get that connection, and in this one you start to see it.
Yeah.
And they build enough of it for it to make. I'm not going to say make complete sense that he loses his. He kind of loses his.
I think
his
it
mind.
makes sense on his part.
Yeah.
If it was the other way, I don't know if because you never really got the sense until this movie that Gamora felt the same way about him.
Right.
It was not until she said like "I love you" that you really got that. But like you knew that he was in love with her, and so that scene, and we're kind of jumping ahead, but like that scene for me, it put a lot on Peter Quill's character. Because he ruined that whole moment.
I mean, you can basically say he killed everybody.
Like
from that mistake.
You can basically say it was all of it was his fault, right? But I think leading up to that, you see, and we'll get into this. Doctor Strange sees all of these outcomes, and he sees that we only win in one. And I think that was part of it. And also, why he had to spare Tony Stark's life is that outcome is, I think, Tony Stark has a big part of them winning in the end.
Yeah, and I think I really want to kind of expand on that
we'll talk
about that later. But I get the way they did it, and I like the way that they built that relationship for you to kind of look at that scene and go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Instead of it being another scene in another movie or TV show, it's like, oh, great, look, another person says something completely stupid.
Yeah.
And now everything goes to hell. When if it was just, dude, just keep your shit together, and we would have won. But no, you got to go and do something stupid. So I like the way that they kind of wrote that in, and you can accept it better as that pinnacle point.
Because in the next one, I think all will be forgiven for that.
The third relationship that I think was really key was the relationship with Gamora and Thanos, because
of course,
this is, and this is where I really appreciate the writing in this movie because um, that basis of that relationship kind of ramps you all the way up to the Soul Stone, where nobody knew where it was, nobody knew anything
It was
about it,
only between them.
and then it was like, okay, so we're gonna set it up in this planet, and then we're gonna put this, and like cool beans. I liked the Red Skull cameo.
I thought it was a
really
good
cool.
really good reveal.
I thought he was. I mean, I guess being stranded in some foreign planet for forever and whatever, he kind of mellowed out a little bit. I thought he was just kind of. I thought he'd be a little bit more angry.
Well, he's been there for how many years? For like
yeah. Either angry or a little bit more desperate. Like, oh my god, someone to talk to.
I know, right? But I think.
But I liked the play in.
I did too, and you know who was playing him, right? Because it wasn't Hugo Weaving who came back.
I have no idea.
So, what's his name in The Walking Dead? Aaron. Aaron from The Walking Dead.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I knew that he was really good at impressions and stuff like that. So I thought he sounded pretty good. He didn't sound like him at all.
Yeah, I didn't really. I mean, yeah, I think if I had looked closer and hadn't been distracted by my.
Oh, you couldn't tell if you looked. You couldn't tell at all. It was more of the voice that you could be like, yeah, that's definitely not Hugo Weaving. But I really like that scene on that planet. And you get that Thanos is capable of being, of feeling love, and I thought that was one of the best scenes of the movie.
They developed that relationship to specifically write into the Soul Stone and him getting the Soul Stone.
And all these theories about the Soul Stone leading up to this, none of them are right.
None of them were right, but here's the thing. This really gives you an understanding and more insight into the power of the Soul Stone, because there's a lot of kind of mystery involving that, where a lot of people have kind of banked on the idea, and kind of the way the comics have kind of described it is that the Soul Stone actually can overpower and tie in or tie out the rest of them.
Exactly.
So this is going to be pivotal in Avengers 4.
Yeah, because in that last scene after he snaps, and you see him in this kind of orange plane, and you just see little Gamora, and he
yeah, because he's in the Soul Stone actually.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I was getting at. Is Gamora isn't strictly dead. Like, she can be brought back because her soul is trapped inside the Soul Stone, which I think is pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. And I think is going to be a huge thing in the next one. Like, the Soul Stone is going to be the main focus of the next one.
Yeah, I think the Soul Stone is going to be the focus. And then, a lot of people are talking about who's dead and who isn't, and pre-snap and whatever.
Yeah. And
even though Gamora died pre-snap, her death is directly incorporated into the retrieval of the Soul Stone. So she's actually, I think everyone pre-snap is going to be dead regardless. It's just dead.
Except for Gamora.
Except for Gamora, because she's in the Soul Stone.
Yeah. And then...
Now, there's another theory that everyone that died after the snap, that disintegrated, that they're actually sucked into and held in the Soul Stone. So that's where a lot of them are going to come back.
Yeah, that's another thing. Because, and I saw a lot of people, and I had this experience too, is when people start turning to ash, and you see like the Winter Soldier, you see, Black Panther, you see Spider-Man, you're like, for us nerds who speculate on everything and watch everything, and it's like, they're not going to kill Black Panther, they're not going to kill Spider-Man. Like, we know there's going to be sequels to both of those movies, so like, but I think in the moment, that emotional resonance really did work, because when Spider-Man died, like, even though I know like Spider-Man's not gonna die, like, for good, right?
But see, the thing is like, the regular moviegoers don't know that.
Exactly.
So there's enough of that emotional tie for it to be impactful.
Exactly. And I felt that the second time watching it, like, I could really feel the room, because it was a smaller theater, and because I already knew it was gonna happen, I paid attention to everyone else's reactions, and people were just bawling. People were really like upset, but like in a good way. They were like, "Yeah, that was a good movie, but holy shit, like
Yeah,
that's
like everyone's
crazy."
dead.
Yeah, like, and people online are hilarious. They're like, they're so funny because they're like, they don't know what to do at this point. They're so mad at Marvel for killing
You
people
just
off,
gotta
but
wait till next year.
just wait till next year.
Yeah.
And I like that they didn't immediately tease, you know, because there are some problems with other movies, like, and I'm gonna go here, but like in, you know, Batman versus Superman, as you know, 10 minutes after Superman dies, you get that tease that he's coming back, so there's no real like, you know, what's the loss there?
Yeah.
10 minutes later, um, but there's no hint of that here, and so you really get to live in that moment of, yeah, these heroes are gone. Going into that last, you know, that the main scene with, you know, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, you know, all of them, Iron Man on Titan.
Mm-hmm.
What were you gonna say about that?
It was a fun scene. I liked the scene.
It was great.
I had a big issue with Tony Stark's suit. I mean,
How
it
so?
just had thousands of things going on with it, and I'm just going, yeah, I get it's nanotech, I get it, but come on, man, like this is way overkill. I mean, it was almost like his suit was just morphing to whatever he wanted.
Well, yeah.
And it's like, no, that's not how technology works.
Yeah, but
with
this
him
this
in
is
those
the
suits.
MCU.
I get that.
This
I
is a
get
thing that we haven't even,
but I was
we've
just
never
kind of
seen
like,
before.
I was kind of like, yeah, it's just, but whatever. I thought it was just a little overkill.
I get that.
But yeah, no, I like the scene. I like the way it played out. I thought that they did an injustice to Thanos though, because, you know, at any point in all reality to the comic books, in all the reality to Thanos as a character, he wouldn't have had a problem with any of them. And all of them collectively, it would have been he wouldn't have even broken a sweat. So
exactly, and that
know,
was the point that someone made, and I completely agree with. But you know, even seeing it a second time, I'm okay with how everything played out.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with the way it played out, and I had a lot of fun with it.
But once he got that reality stone, it was like he didn't even need to fight anyone.
He didn't.
Because you see initially, you know, when they think they're going to get him at the collector's place. And I like how, like, the collector that we saw wasn't even the real collector. He was already dead by that point.
He was already gone.
But, like, I like how, you know, when Drax comes up
or maybe
to him,
he isn't. We didn't see a body. We didn't see him die.
That's true. That's okay.
We'll see.
But when Drax comes, he like turns him into bricks, and then, you know, same thing with
well, Mantis, he turns into like ribbons.
Yeah,
I thought that was fantastic.
That was cool.
I was like, ooh, I'd rather be bricks.
Yeah. But you saw that they were still alive, but also he could have done that for every single character after that, and just like, you know, it wasn't even a match, you know. But again, you know, let him have his fun. You know, he knew that he was the most powerful, and with every stone that he was collecting, you know, it was fine.
He just got infinitesimal. I'm not even gonna try that.
Infinitely
multiplicative. Nah, I can't do that one either. He got more and more powerful. Yeah,
very
that's
good.
So lame. I'm not articulate today. It's just not happening. That's the most syllables I'm going to mutter right there.
But going back to that scene on Titan with all of them, I thought their plan was really cool. I thought, you know, they got him down, and they were this close. But to put all of that onto Peter Quill, I think that was a little much. You know, I understand, because I think if it was anyone else, it wouldn't have made sense. It makes sense that it was him that was so emotionally unstable at that point, because it was hard for him to kill Gamora when she asked. And I thought that scene could have...
I love the bubbles.
I love the bubbles too. And then when she tries to stab herself, the bubbles
again.
like...
Yeah. It's like,
damn.
Yeah. He likes bubbles.
Yeah.
I could just see a meme for him. You know, he's just like, He's got the Infinity Gun. He's got that little bubble maker. And he's just like, I'm so happy now.
That's what he's doing after all of that.
I thought they couldn't. Yeah, it would have just. The end scene where he's like in his whatever. He's in his cabana and he's watching the sunset. It'd have just been funny if he just kind of like had a little bubble maker. He's like, that would have been awesome. But it would have undermined the seriousness of it. But oh my god, that would have been so awesome.
Or if everyone just turned into bubbles instead of
bubbled,
ash.
Yeah, instead of ash, they're just bubbles.
That would have been.
Dude, what's your fetish with bubbles? Oh yeah,
he's like
they're soapy and bubbly.
All right, let's not get into that. Anyway, going back to Titan, because I think Titan is one of the best scenes of the movie, one of the best action sequences.
Yes.
And yeah, I can see what you're saying about the Tony Stark Iron Man suit, but Spider-Man and the Iron Spider suit, I thought the suit was really cool. Tom Holland, of course, did a really good job. I really thought Tony Stark was gonna die right before he gave up that stone.
No, I knew as soon as Doctor Strange gave it up for him. I knew at that point he knew what was going on. He knew this is what would had to happen, and he knew he needed to save Tony.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like,
but up to that point,
but whatever.
Up to that point, yeah, I thought Tony Stark was toast, and I think that's crazy. And you think about how many times Doctor Strange has died too. Going back to his movie too, he died so many times. And then he knew that he was going to die, but he had to do it because Tony Stark was important enough to the resurrection of all these people. And what's also interesting is at the very end, all of the original Avengers are alive. All the people in the original Avengers movie are still there.
Yeah. How
do you feel about that? Are you okay with that?
The way it played out, I was fine.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that makes sense. I really wanted Tony Stark to die, like, so badly. I did. I don't know why, but I really just did.
I liked him a lot in this movie, though.
I get how they wrapped it up. It's almost like, we started with these guys.
We're gonna
end with these guys, and at the end, because I think that in Avengers 4, people are gonna die. Yeah. Like, it's gonna be that's the end of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's going to be the handing off point to whoever's going to come in and kind of, take the reins after that point. So I get it. I like the way it ended up. I was really rooting for a Tony Stark death. I was really rooting for a Black Widow death.
Yeah.
It didn't happen, but
I don't think those deaths would have been earned in this movie. In the next movie, we're going to be able to focus on them. And so when their deaths finally come,
it's going to be crushing for people.
It's going to be crazy, yeah.
As long as
I absolutely love the movie. Seeing it a second time was actually a really good experience. I would encourage everyone to go see it a second time if you can. I think the character interactions between everyone, I think those were just some of the best parts. I mean, and some people were worried about the amount of comedy in this movie. And I think, at times it might have been a little much, but I think on the whole, I think it works really well.
Yeah,
this is what makes
it wasn't that bad.
This is what makes MCU,
Yeah, I was fine with it. It wasn't as bad for me as it was in like Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Rocket Raccoon was fantastic.
Oh my God.
Groot was funny.
Rocket and Thor were just hilarious.
There's
like,
Sweet
I just want to see them.
Oh my God, Sweet Rabbit is so just quotable. It's so good. Man. I watched a review from someone else, and I have to agree wholeheartedly that it's sad that they've kind of degraded Drax's character to this buffoonish comedy role when it's like, he's Drax the Destroyer. And you don't get any sense of that. He's just this.
He's a strong.
He's
dude.
Like a placeholder.
He's a strong dude, but you don't even feel like he can do much. I mean, you feel like Captain America can do more. You feel like Black Widow can do more. He's definitely turned into this kind of comedic role only.
Yeah. But I loved Mantis. Mantis was great.
Mantis
You
is a really
know,
good.
you
I
know,
really
we
like
kick
her.
names and
And
take
take
ass, and
ass.
I was like, oh, that's so good.
And
Oh, the T-shirts are gonna be everywhere.
like the subtlety to her comedy is really well done. Sad that she had to go at the very end, but I thought all the ground stuff in Wakanda worked. And I like that we just went to Wakanda. It was like straight into it. It's like, hey, they're coming. We gotta get ready. It's gonna be war, and that was it. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't spend too much time on anything.
Sadly, somebody who I didn't think I'd have a problem in this role, I had a major problem with Peter Dinklage
Oh yeah.
in his role because he looked, and it's not anything against Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage looks like Peter Dinklage, but when you dress him up and you make him hairy as a dwarf, he's the same hairy dwarf in everything that you've ever seen him in. Even though he's a large hairy dwarf, I was just like, he's just too recognizable to not just accept him in this role. It took me out of that whole scene. I think they should have used a different actor, and it would have been a completely different scene. It would have been more kind of interesting to watch, and I was like, it took me out.
I didn't have a problem with it just because, even though I've seen Peter Dinklage in a bunch of stuff, I'm not like a huge Game of Thrones fan. So I'm not super tied down to that. Like, I went with my friend who's super into Game of Thrones, and she didn't know that Peter Dinklage was in this movie, so it was a pretty big surprise for her. She loved it.
Yeah.
But like, I thought it was okay. It didn't take me out at all. But that's been a common like complaint for the movie. It's like, yeah, they didn't really do anything with him. He wasn't really that interesting. He was just Peter Dinklage. It's like, yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I think some people have that, like, take Woody Harrelson for me. I think Woody Harrelson is the same, and like to some degree in every movie. Like when he's gonna be in this new Star Wars movie, it's gonna be like
Another
Woody Harrelson
Woody Harrelson role
in the Star Wars. Yeah, like But I get that. But I was okay with the dwarf character.
Yeah, I mean, I was fine with it. It took me out of the scene a little bit. I that whole scene I have to dismiss because my brain just picks it apart to 1,000 different things, and
Yeah.
it frustrates me. But it's in there for a reason. Some things you just have to write in with a little bit of a loosey goosiness to it, and you just
Yeah.
got to kind of accept it for what it is.
So where does this kind of rank? Have you thought about it as far as like your favorites?
Well, so I was pretty much fine with my kind of reverie with all the past and movies. I did watch Civil War again. I did watch Winter Soldier again, and by far, Winter Soldier is still number one.
Yeah, for me
It's
too.
absolutely number one.
Winter Soldier is crazy.
But Infinity War comes right in at number two.
I think so too. I think it's so well written. For the amount of places they have to go, the amount of people they have to juggle, like it is really, really something to appreciate. Like what they did in this movie, I think sets a whole new standard for these superhero movies.
Yeah. And well, the fun part about this movie is that this is going to be one of those movies that you can watch over and over and over again.
And it's still going to be epic.
And it's going to be fine. You're going to come home on a Saturday and you're just bored. Dude, I'm just going to watch Infinity War. And you can watch it again and again. And you're like, man, that's cool. That was a good movie.
Yeah.
So that's why for me, it ranks pretty high for me.
Yeah, it's definitely up there for me too. I think it's in front. Yeah, so it's behind Winter Soldier for me. I think some follow-ups would have to be like, I really, watching the first Captain America, I think that's a great movie. I think that's still like top 5 for me. Let's see. I think the first Iron Man still holds up really well. But yeah, this movie, I mean, I knew it was going to be good, but I'm super satisfied with how it ended and how everything played out. So
yeah,
I cannot wait.
Pleasantly pleasantly surprised. And
No.
I'm glad it was better than I had walked into going,
Yeah.
I have my reservations about this, but
and then
hats off to the Russo brothers.
Yeah, hats off again. I mean,
You
Winter Soldier, Civil War, now this. I cannot wait for the next one. Now the post-credit scene, I think, was one of the best post-credit scenes in the context of this directly.
It invests you into the next couple
movie.
Of movies, next couple tie-ins.
Because there's some, like, take the Thor Ragnarok, post-credit scene, like the very post-credit scene. It was like nothing, right? With
I don't even remember what it was.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because the mid-credit scene was them on the ship, and then you see Thanos' ship. Like, that's important. But at the very end, it was just, Jeff Goldblum's character, like, being goofy.
Yeah.
So it was like, dismissible. But this directly puts you in the mood for Captain Marvel. I love that they explicitly gave you that, her logo with the colors and everything.
Which a lot of people have no idea what that
exactly.
means. Because I was hearing all the grumbling of people around me.
They're like, what's that?
They're like, what, we had to wait that whole time for that? What's this crap,
But that's going to be so important because Captain Marvel, we'll have Ant-Man and the Wasp, and that takes place before Infinity War. Like, that's confirmed. But we have Captain Marvel in March of next year, and then we have Avengers 4 in May of next year. So we'll get her movie before Avengers 4.
Oh, it's that close together.
Yeah, it's that.
Well,
close.
I figured they'd space it out a little bit more. I didn't look at the time frame, but
but
very nice.
Yeah, so it's gonna set up directly. So I'm super hyped for that.
Well, I mean, I don't know where they're at right now in the box office, but Thursday night, 39 million.
I mean, think about that, like, for a second. Like, some movies don't even make that, like, for weeks.
And that's only for 2, maybe 3 showtimes. Because they can't show it any earlier than 7.
Yeah, I mean, 39 million for, an evening. Not even the whole day. Not even a
full day, yeah.
Like, that is crazy. So, I haven't looked at the numbers, but I'm pretty sure it's going to crack that record, which I'm very excited about. And that's why I had to see it a second time, because I wanted to contribute a little bit. Any final thoughts?
I'm excited to see how they're going to, tie in and do the Captain Marvel prequel. I'm waiting with it, kind of bated breath to see, because they haven't titled the next Avengers 4 movie yet, and they did it specifically because they want people to watch Infinity War. Because I think once they title it, it's going to give away a lot of where the direction of that movie is going to go. So it's going to be interesting once they drop that title, where all of the theory mongers are going to start going bonkers. So I think that excitement's going to be fun to participate in. Yeah,
I'm very excited for what's to come. Phase 4 is crazy so far. So I think that's about it. Let us know your thoughts on the whole thing. We really want to know, like, how you felt about the movie, things you liked, things you didn't like, any theories about how they're going to defeat Thanos and get those stones back. We'd love to hear them. And I think that's about it. So we will see you guys next time.
Have fun, guys. Enjoy the movie. It's well worth it. Go see it a couple times. I mean, it is a little, by the time this posts, the weekend's going to be over.
Yeah.
But, definitely go enjoy it.
Yeah. Enjoy and have fun.
Yeah. We'll catch you next time.
All right. Bye. Thank you all so much for listening to Post Production Podcast. If you'd like to reach the show, you can email us any questions or comments at postproductionpod@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram. All those links are in the description below.
And if you like this podcast, hit that subscribe button and let us know by leaving a rating and review on iTunes. We really appreciate it. See you guys next time.